So massive news in the last probably 24 hours. By the time you're listening to this and the podcast gets released, it'll be at least probably 7 to 10 days old. But the vast majority of you guys have not heard about this, and it is massive, massive news, with Apple basically crippling the IDFA and taking the $80 billion industry into absolute turmoil right now. So let's get stuck in. I'll explain to you why that's massively changed the social media marketing background in regards to Facebook marketing and Google marketing that so many health and medical businesses work on right now. So what exactly was the big change? Well, Apple haven't just crippled the IDFA, the identifier for advertisers. They've killed it. They've completely knocked it out. When I cut this podcast, literally it only occurred last night with the announcement of iOS 14, the platform obviously that's used for iPhones, iPads, etc. And they have absolutely crippled the IDFA with what they're doing, and it's going to completely throw that $80 billion industry into turmoil. And we're seeing massive ramifications right now, which will ultimately change a little bit further down the track over the next sort of 2 to 4 months as different entities, I've got to choose my words very carefully, but as different entities actually go ahead and try to work with this in their own way, try and change around their own software, their own tips and tactics, and their own algorithms, etc. But right now, the way in which you are being taught and told previously by your Facebook marketing experts, etc., is completely hit and miss right now because of what Apple have done. And it's been a really, really smart thing. So let's dive in now and explain some of the ramifications to you right now, because for those of you running Facebook ads and Google AdWords, etc., your pay per click, your return on investments, and all of those algorithms and metrics are completely out right now. And you're going to be paying way too much for those avenues right now, which, as I've always said, just shows that yes, it is an important part, having a digital footprint and in digital marketing. But for those that want to believe you can pay $100 on a Facebook ad and make $60,000 in the next 24 hours, it's all rubbish. It doesn't happen like that. But more so to the point, it is part of your overall strategy. But for those that don't focus enough in on their referral strategies and working with their referral networks like sporting teams and doctors and specialists, you're actually leaving yourself at the mercy of other businesses, other companies, just like Apple, that have just absolutely crippled a major, major part of how you're trying to get your ad spend down, get your clients and build your business. And let's go and dive into it right now. So already what actually happens right now is when you have different apps and use different software on your devices, I mean, you can switch these things off, but they're very buried very, very deep down in the settings of phones and iPads and things like that, is the ability to turn off the tracking. So you can actually turn off the ability for people to use their apps and software. Now, the vast majority of people, even if they think they're savvy about this and switch off what appears to be the easy way of doing it, it's not that hard, Jace. You're not actually getting to the depths of the actual full avenue. So even though you feel that you're not being traced and tracked, you actually still are. Well, here's what's actually now happening with iOS 14. What it's actually doing is now you're actually going to be given the exact wording, and I have it here in front of me because I want to make sure that I'm 100% accurate with it. So they're actually going to have a dialog box that comes up and asks you, such and such an app would like permissions to track you across apps and websites owned by other companies. Your data will then be used to deliver personalized ads to you. Now, you might go, yeah, well, they do that anyway. But here's the killer on this. The fact that you now have to be proactively saying yes to be tracked across ads, to be you're allowing them to actually go ahead and track you across across different websites and apps and, sell on your data and details to other companies to then personalize more ads to you. Now, you might think that that's not a bad thing or a scary thing, and to be totally honest, it's not a scary thing. It just means if you're going out looking garden hoses on Google, they're going to retarget you and that type of stuff. We know those things happen, but here's the thing. Right now, when it's automatically switched off, most people don't bother going to the depths of the bottom part of the settings to try and find all these bits and switch them off. And as a net result, it's an absolute plethora of goldmine. And it's an $80 billion industry right now that actually utilizes that to retarget, build, and grow. So for all the people that have been fine-tuning all their pixels and their tracking and their ads managers and their accounts and the social media and the Facebook ads and those things as well, that's great and well, and kudos for doing that. But right now, your ad spend is through the roof. Your pay per clicks, your views and your reaches and all that type of stuff is absolutely massive compared to what it was. And until they can work this out, they being ADFA and the companies linked with that, it's going to mean that your social media ads, your Google, your Facebook, etc., are going to be a hell of a lot more expensive than what they have been previously. Because let's be honest about this right now. Anyone who is in a situation that it pops up on your phone and says, as I said before, would like permission to track you across apps and websites owned by other companies, and your data will then be passed on and used to deliver personalized ads to you. If you are proactively given that option every single time you download a new app, for instance, the vast majority of people are going to say, ask the app not to track. Bing, and push that button. So by not telling you now, like previously, you go back a month, they didn't tell you, they just did it. Most people don't go and switch it off. Most people just hate the fact that we're tracked, don't like it, but never actually do anything about it. Now you get the option from the start of the relationship with that app to know and to be in control of whether they do or not. Now, we know from science that the vast majority of people are now going to actually say no. It's like when people want to be tracked with different websites and they say, can this app use or this website, track your location? And because they ask you, the vast majority of people, like the high 80%, nearly 90% say no, because we want a little bit more safety and security. We don't want to be tracked in those type of avenues, geographically and things like that. And so we're already knowing that nearly 90% of people are saying no to that. So Apple also know that based on the same scenario, average is average, more close to 90% of people are going to say no, which means the $80 billion industry of ADFA and your Google ads and retargeting, your Facebook and things like that have now been completely blown apart because they can't do the same algorithm, they can't work the same retargeting, the same strategies without spending a huge amount more money. So how does this become something that's going to work for you or against you? Well, I'm glad you asked. The two biggest companies that utilize this and that will be hurt the most are going to be Google and Facebook. It's already been announced. There's been some huge amounts of information around this. Forbes have done a huge amount in and around this. And Facebook, for instance, uses two things right now. They use a thing called VO, which is value optimization. And they also use AEO, which is app event optimization. I have to always stop and think there for a sec. Now, the challenge is they use those because they start to look at your characteristics, your spend, what you're doing in certain ads, what you buy, what you're looking at. They look at what events are running, who's attracted, that all the AI, the algorithms, etc. And the vast majority of this, no matter how good someone is with their Facebook ads optimization, we still don't really understand fully the algorithm. Even though the Facebook marketers say, we've hacked this, we know the algorithm does this, does that, there's still a vast majority of that we still don't really understand, and it's a lot of test and measure. So by having that in place, they know they can get their hackings down. They can get their tracking and test and measure results down to, like 4-cent clicks and 5-cent clicks, which is awesome. But right now, straight away, they're going to be 60 and 80-cent clicks, maybe even more. We just really don't know. And the vast majority of people's ad spend is going to go way up, and we're not going to be able to get near as much retargeting and fine tuning of those in place until Facebook and Google, etc., are able to go out and basically somehow counteract this. Now, don't get me wrong, they'll work it all out, but it's a big power play by Apple to take that away, and they've even turned around basically for the third or fourth time and declined Facebook on their gaming apps, etc., to turn around and go and that's the technical term, and tell them to go away, and in that respect don't want to collaborate or work with them in that as well. So this is huge for those of you that are running Facebook ads, that are doing different campaign launches, that are doing events and trying to optimize all of those with the algorithm that are there and all of your funnels and your ad managers and different parts of that. You have to be really careful. You need to go back in right now and look at that. So without going into huge amounts of depth, if you need to look at this further because you're doing a large portion of this in your business, then great. Go and jump in and grab some more information, or hit me up and I can help you out with it. And that's not a sell to go and sell you Facebook advertising stuff. It's not. It's like I can help you out to show you what to look at, what to ask, and that for your own benefit. But the thing is this. What it does do is it again shows that those that are relying primarily on the digital footprint of things like Facebook ads, Instagram, or just Google AdWords need to be very, very careful, because it is not always going to be the best money spinner for you in your health and medical business. There are a lot of pitfalls, and there's some massive changes that we've never seen before that have just happened in the last 24 hours. It's probably at least 7 to 10 days away by the time you listen to this and I release this podcast. So my thing is this: go and have a look at your ad spend. Go and look at what ad sets you've got on. Go and talk to your business coaches, your funnel hackers, and the people that you should have in around you for building those marketing campaigns, because your ad spend will be going up massively. I don't want you to be wasting a whole lot of money. I'm not saying switch them all off. I'm saying be smart about what you do, get the right advice, and put the right steps in place so you can start fine-tuning those. Otherwise, what you're going to find is those digital marketing advertising strategies you have are going to cost you a lot more money to deliver the same as what you're doing previously. And ideally, that's not great. So it's a matter of just knowing that, putting that in place. And also, it's a reinforcing that your marketing campaigns in your health and medical business shouldn't be just focused in and around, your $5 ad spend and boosting posts and doing all of that. Like quite a few people over the last year or two have been trying to force people to jump into this about how much money can be made. The guts of this still comes down to relationships, referral strategies, retention, reactivation, and making the right relationships and marketing strategies across 4 or 5 different key areas work for you. So keep that in mind. And for those of you that are in a lot more of a Facebook, Google type spend, go and get on top of that right now is my recommendation, and watch this heavily over the next 2 to 3 months, because you're going to potentially lose a lot of traction, a lot of money that you would have previously got as a net result of these massive changes that Apple have made in that space. So hope that's been helpful. If you need any help or want any more advice on it, hit me up, let me know. I'm happy to help out and advise you as best I can. Until next time, I'll talk to you again very soon. Hey guys, thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Profitable Practice Podcast. I would love nothing more than for you to be able to leave a review. I get so much joy out of listening and reading the amazing things that you guys say about this. So please subscribe to our channel, leave a review, and share it with your friends. Let's get some more fantastic information out there so all of us can grow the industry together. Cheers for now.